Well, welcome to today's episode of Wesley Live. I am so excited because we have someone from the West Coast with us. We have Pastor Johanna Rugh. Pastor Johanna, how are you today?
I'm doing good. Thank you, my brother. Such a privilege to be able to talk with you.
Oh, it's so great to see you. Now, I mentioned you're on the West Coast. So can you tell us where do you live?
Well, I live in Southern California,
Okay.
probably around 15 minutes from the LA downtown, so very close to downtown. And I live in a city that is called Azusa,
Okay.
close to the foothills. And there is where we've been living here for the last 20 years plus.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So can you maybe walk us through where you're from originally and your little bit of your story and your call to ministry? I know you're a pastor there, you and your husband there in Southern California. And would you mind sharing that
Yes.
with us?
Funny story. I'm a PK. It's just like I'm the result of the wonderful influence of my parents in my life. And calling to ministry began very early when I was in probably 11, and I saw a need that the children's the little kids class needed some help. There was not even a teacher, so that's where I had the sense. But it was always finding books and being able to get resources in order to teach, but never was a felt like, oh wow, I have to study for ministry. And as a matter of fact, I began study psychology, and it's just like how God works things. It's just like let me tell you, let me go back. When I was 14, we went to Spain as family to be missionaries for 5 years.
Okay.
Yes, we were in the city of Seville, Spain. And so over there, I kept serving the Lord, and I finished my high school. So when we came back to Costa Rica, it's when I began my psychology studies. I was working part-time so I can pay for my studies. And in that time, my dad also was requested if he could go to Aruba. And I said, Dad, you know what? I'm just going to put a hold here. I cannot go to Aruba, even though Aruba sounded great. I mean, it's just like, I said, I have to study. I cannot just keep going wherever you take me. So, I mean, and I was an adult already. So I said, no, I'm staying behind. I'm going to stay here, and I'm going to finish my degree. So I began studying psychology. And when he came back from Aruba, he goes, hey, you know what? The Lord is opening doors to be able to do my master's in California. And I would like to go. Those 2 years that I lived by myself, it was very difficult, especially, we Hispanics are very, together, everything together, very family oriented, and living alone. My grandma will come to be with me, sometimes. It was very difficult. Our house was so big, and I was the only one there. So I didn't even hesitate when my dad said, I'm going to California. I said, I'm going with you. I'm not even thinking on staying. So I put a hold on my studies in psychology. I didn't finish. So when I came here, it was so evident the need in Hispanic ministry that I said, I wonder why it is so necessary for them to have a degree. So I began ministerial preparation, and then I began to do to work towards my bachelor's in Christian ministry, and then open doors to the seminary. And my goodness, it's just the Lord has been just showing what He has been placed in my heart long time ago, since I was 11 years old.
Wow, that's cool. Well, you bring up the seminary, so you are a Wesley Seminary alum. So what led you to Wesley Seminary? You're out in California, and how did that come about?
You know what? It was very interesting because I told you I live in Azusa. Okay, so I don't know how familiar you are with the city, but there is this university. It's called Azusa Pacific University,
right?
And they have a seminary. Okay,
right.
So the funny thing is that my sister, Ileana, she said, hey, we need to study for masters, let's, look at this. And I kept saying, are you kidding me? It's just like, I like to see my teacher. I like the blackboard. I like to have my desk. I like to go with my backpack and my books. So I told her, I have Azusa Pacific here. I mean, I can literally walk. And I said, I'm not going to go online. I'm an old timer. That's what was my words. And she kept, Johanna, but you know what? It's Wesley Seminary, and they have it in Spanish. And I said, APU has it in Spanish. So we had this, predicament. It's so funny. But we had a visit with Dr. Bob Weisel. Mm-hmm. And so when he came one time, we usually meet and he comes to our church and preaches when he's in town. And so we had a talk, and I said, I want you to, help me decide on this. And he goes, yeah, go ahead. I said, and, the guy he was very good at, like telling us what were the plus and here's and ups and downs. And, after that conversation, there was no doubt in my mind that I had to do Wesley Seminary, and because of the practical aspect, because of how much it was going to bless me. One of the good things about the seminary is the fact that while you are studying, you are putting into practice what you study. It's not like, okay, let me give you all these books and read it, and eventually it's going to make sense in ministry. No, it just makes sense in ministry, the first assignment that you have. So that was a blessing for me. It was a blessing for the church where I serve, and it has been a blessing since then.
Wow. Do you have a favorite memory or a story while you were in seminary, or favorite class?
Well, let me tell you, I don't want to sugarcoat this, okay? Because
sure.
Going to seminary was not an easy task, and let me tell you why. Because English is not my first language, okay? And the first class, it was with Lenny Lucetti, and I was just like terrified. I said, Lord, I was not used to it. Especially there were so many young people, and I feel so old. All of them had Apple computers. I have this tiny little PC. When I came home, I told my husband, I'm so concerned that I'm not going to be able to make it, because it's just, a lot of assignments and a lot of reading and everything in English. Some classes I was able to take it in Spanish, so I was able to do electives, and so I advanced. That's the beauty of being bilingual, I guess. But my husband said, Johanna, even if you don't make it, you're gonna be a better person after all this process. So trust that God has you there. And I think that he has been seen something that I was not aware of, in how God was shaping my life through all this, all this class especially. So my best memories in all this, it's the cohort that we share, because in every semester you have the 1 credit spiritual formation class, which is literally, I will call it spiritual transformation, because that's what it did in my life. I just I'm so blessed that I was able to go every semester with a different perspective, different goal and journey. But when you put them all together, it created such a sturdy foundation in what I am doing right now, that for me, I cherish it. And, the capstone, how come you're not going to remember capstone? You're just like, it's just such a sense of accomplishment. So of course, it's just like you're breathing, that you are almost done. So those two things, in the assignments always are very formative. But what is spiritual formation? It was a blessing to my life.
Wow, that's so cool. You are just so amazing. From what you've mentioned in ministry, but you've not touched on the fact that you are also a director in the Wesleyan Church for headquarters. So can you kind of share with us a little bit about your responsibilities there and what you're doing in the Wesleyan Church?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm the director for the Spanish ministry and education and clergy care. So basically, I'm in charge of all the ministerial preparation towards ordination in the Spanish area. We help our pastors to go through all the classes, making sure that we provide, the professors and help the coordinators. We have a non-traditional system. It's called Flama, and basically it's it helps our bivocational ministerial students to be able to take classes while they also serve in their local church. So it's pretty neat. And besides that, I'm also helping the DVMDs and district superintendents to be able to see with our Latino eyes, okay, the Hispanic ministry, because it's another, I mean, I love my gringo people, but sometimes they really need a Latino glasses in order to, you know, and that's where I am, you know, just like, hey, you know, here it is, and this is how we think, and this is how our things, because I have my experience from serving as a assistant district superintendent in the Hispanic district. So it brought some sense of knowledge and idea on how to deal with different situations in ministry. So that's what I do. And another part of the clergy care, I am also leading what is called the Thrive Financial Initiative, which is a wonderful program that we have, basically to help pastors thrive in their context of ministry. The program basically helps to provide some learning journeys, and in the same time bring us an incentive of financial means per se. So we match the investment that the church does in the pastor. Sometimes there are churches that say, well, you know, why should we invest in our pastor? We'll already give him salary, you know, just, but they don't realize that the pastor is we are human beings, that they need to pay health insurance that sometimes it's not covered, or they have student loans, or you name it. So there's where we come on board, and because of a Lilly Foundation grant, we are able to match funds of what they're doing in investment and encourage them. And in the process, the church is blessed, the pastor is blessed, the whole ministry is blessed. So for us, it's a win-win situation. So we're working with districts, we're working with the complementary paths, what we say, we're working with ministries, and then also, you know, the core path, which is, you know, 3 years, and it's a wonderful program. So if you allow me, I will just say a lot. I just say, you know, wesleyan.org/TFI, and I'll be more than glad to answer any questions.
That's wonderful. I was just going to ask you that, how someone can contact you if they were interested. That is such a fantastic program. I'm just, Todd Sloan's going to be on next week, and I know he's involved with Thrive in Florida. So, thank you.
Florida has been a blessing for our pastors as well. So thank you, guys. Thank you for the opportunity to be a blessing to our pastors.
Oh, that's fantastic. So I think the first time I met you, I may be wrong about this, but I think was at a seminary board meeting, because not only do you do all these other things we've already talked about, but you are also a seminary board member. So how in the world, I mean, how do you fit all that in? And I mean, why is that important to you to be a board member? And you are a very important member of that board, as I've witnessed over our 4 or 5 meetings that I've been at. So thank you. Why I mean, how do you make the time? I mean,
well, you know what? I think more than time, it's the passion that you have in order to be a blessing. When I was invited to be part of the board, I have this wonderful doctor, and I feel it as my coach. So I brought him up and say, hey, can you please just help me to decide on this? You know, they invited me to be part of back then I was a student, so it was basically representing the student body at the seminary board. And he said, well, Johanna, listen, there are 2 reasons why they invite you to a board. Number one is because probably you have the resources to be able to make a difference in the board. And another one is because you have something given by God that you can help, you know, the board. He goes, and as long as I know there's no excess of resources in your pockets, and I said, well, you know, I'm going to pray for that later on. But he goes, so probably they want, you know, what you can bring to the board in regards to your knowledge and experience. And I said, well, thank you. So I accepted it. And it has been for me a way to pray and encourage, and to see from a different perspective of how much our Hispanic pastors need this. You know, I know that I not only represent the Hispanic community. When I am on the board, I represent everybody. But the beauty of what the seminary offers in regards to our Hispanic pastors, it's immensely appreciated. And the fact, I remember my dad's days in masters, because they didn't have a totally Spanish master's program. So the fact that the seminary focus on everything in Spanish, it's a blessing. And so for me, it's a way to know how I can pray for the seminary, how I can pray for the professors, how I can be of encouragement to somebody that it's like, thinking about going or not. And also, and if God wills, eventually I could be a financial supporter of our seminary. I'll love to do it, but in the meantime, I just want to know that whatever I can do, it's just to be a word of advice and encouragement and wisdom to our seminary board.
Well, we appreciate what you do, and we're so proud of you as an alum, one, but also the fact that you are giving back and serving and investing not only in the Wesleyan Church and in God's church, but in the seminary as well. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
So you touched, well, we're thrilled. We're thrilled. So you touched on something a little bit earlier about parenting and family. So we've got this thing, COVID-19. I don't know if you've heard about it on the West Coast or not, but so how is that as a parent, not only your ministry, how's it affected that, but your parenting and family life, and how are you guys coping with COVID-19?
Well, let me say that we hope to be thriving. We're not thriving, okay? We are, we could say that we are in a surviving mode, but God has been our helper. It's just interesting that when this process happened, our kids think that they're on vacation, okay? This is not, of course. So the interesting thing is that, so they thought that everything was going to be, like, oh, let's just have fun and all the time. So we started creating some structure, getting up on time, like if they will go to school, not so early, but at least, not later than this time. There's a weekly schedule that they have to, responsibilities, and we have it by tiers. So they cannot go on the second tier unless they have on the first, they finish the first, things like that. But we were especially me, I was very concerned about how much time they will invest in watching TV, playing video games, checking on YouTube videos and things like that. So I was like, I came to my husband and yeah, sometimes I could be a little exaggerated, but basically I was like, I cannot accept that the amount of time that they're investing in watching movies, playing video games, it's more than when they're spending on the word, because their devotional was 30 minutes and that was it. The rest of the day it was, and so, I know it was a little, and the thing is that I work from home, so I close my door and I don't know what's going on. So when I go out, I will see him watching TV and my heart was like, oh, it was sad. And I said, what happened here? Why they're not, and I don't know. I wish I could see him, like doing, some Bible study or, probably some naive thought. So my husband was in agreement. He said, well, I understand. Probably they can help you see what they've been doing and at least to have that balance. It's just like even in your spiritual life as an adult, you understand that if you don't fill your life with things of the word of God or worshiping, you're going to fill it up with something else. And there is where your spiritual life is going to decay or it's going to increase. So our goal is to have more of him and less of us. And so that was my goal with them. So we created, we decided that on a weekly basis, once a week, we're going to have prayer and fasting with the kids. And it's not like I'm having them on their knees the whole day. No, they're doing their activities. We're following a program that he tells them, what are the words that they need to be, declaring and, understanding that they're not doing this just to starve, but to be able to ask the Holy Spirit to be their comforter in that situation, in what we're going through. And let me tell you, it has been, amazing, and also a lot of spiritual warfare, you could say. You know, we have had some moments, but we can see that, you know, it was so necessary in order to break something that was getting a hold of the minds of our kids. You know, we've been learning that a lot of, you know, media and TV and electronics could be more than just watching. It's just creating an addiction to them, and breaking that pattern, especially on the day that we have praying fasting, because we are not watching movies. We're not playing video games. We are watching, you know, like preaching times, or we are listening to worship music. We are trying to build that up. So, like I said, it's been a blessing, because for me, it's just a sense of, okay, you know, we're at least trying to accomplish something, but in the same time, it's been struggling, because I know that the devil is not happy with this, but I'm okay with that. You know, he knows that, you know, we represent a threat to him more than him to us. So, you know, we are very excited about this process, because, you know, I believe that every parent right now has the opportunity to be the shepherd of their children. Amen. This is the best time to disciple our kids. So, you know, just like, shame on me if I don't take advantage of this, because this is the best opportunity that I have to disciple their hearts.
Amen. That's such a powerful message. Thank you for sharing that, because I've talked to so many, I know so many parents are dealing with that. My own kids, they're raising kids, if that's possible. And, you know, even as adults, that we're struggling with, you know, balancing our time and
there you go.
spending time in the Word and devotion where we need to. It's so easy to get in that trap of social media and Netflix and all of that, the news.
Oh, my goodness. You tell me. I know, especially Netflix. It's so attractive with so many new movies.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's just like, and you can see, it's not like we are asking the kids just to, you know, get in a bubble. And it's just understanding that while they're doing things, they can also be in tune with the Spirit and worshiping and seeking Him. And let me tell you, it's a little scary, because also I don't want to impose in such a way that they will go and say, oh, you pushed that on me. That's not me. So it's just having that balance and say, God, I need your wisdom. I cannot be done without you. I just need your wisdom, your direction to be the godly parent that you want me to be during this time. And also dealing with the isolation, dealing with the fact that they cannot see their friends, they cannot see their families. So it's a lot of dynamics, but with God's help, I know we'll be able to make it. So if any parents are there watching and listening, just want to say, you know, take courage. God has given you the parenting authority to be the shepherd that your kids need right now. So take advantage. Use what God has given you and build up this strong spiritual formation that your kids need, because it's going to be a very good foundation for what they're going to become and get out of their house, you know?
Yep. Amen. Amen. Wow. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Johanna.
Thank you.
Appreciate that message, just to hear your story and everything that you're doing for the kingdom, and then to give us that perspective as a parent. That is so, and just admire what you're doing there with your family. You're honoring God, and yeah, that's so cool. Thank you. Appreciate you very much, and look forward to the
appreciate it.
Well, we will be, hopefully our next board meeting will be face to face.
Yes. Yes. Well, thank you for the time.
Oh, it's my
and
pleasure.
I appreciate what you're doing. Thank you, my brother. And I pray that the Lord continue to use you, and that everything that you do will prosper. Everything that your hands touch will become a reality, especially projects that you do. We know that, I don't know how many of the people that are watching us, they know how much of the work that you do to be able to bring, you know, like resources and projects and requests of grants. So if I can ask anybody, just keep my brother Joel in your prayers, that God will give him this insights necessary, so when the projects land in the right hand, in the right place, they will see what is necessary, and they will give the approval stamp and send those resources, because it's just to bless more students to go to seminary. Amen. So thank you.
Amen.
Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. You made me cry.
Thank you, my brother. I'm sorry.
No, that was good. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Aha.
Blessings,
Thank you,
safety.
my brother.
Thank you. Have a
Take
great
care now. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.